Hello again, everybody. Christina Forbes here, wife of seriously injured worker Lauren Forbes. So from the other videos, as I said, from the September 10th letter, that let's just discuss some of the policies and practices that they threw in this letter, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of just policy that they threw at him in this letter. So let's go over some of those policies that are in the Workers' Compensation Board. Section 16.1 of the Workers' Compensation Act, the Act, states that WorkSafe BC may provide assistance that is needed or practical to help injured workers return to work or to minimize the impact of the injury. The word may, and it's in brackets, means that vocational rehabilitation assistance is discretionary. Workers are not automatically entitled to receive vocational rehabilitation assistance. The vocational rehabilitation consultant determines whether workers are eligible to receive vocational rehabilitation assistance, and if so, the type and amount of assistance. So, right there, may. But actual decision comes down to the vocational rehabilitation consultant on whether or not they feel that you're entitled to vocational rehabilitation assistance. Not your injuries, not your doctor, not you, not your personal choices or anything like that. Their vocational rehabilitation consultant has the final say on whether or not they get vocational rehabilitation help past their injury. So, let's go on to the next one. RSCM Volume 2 Policy Item C11/8500 Principles and Goals. Goals set out that for workers with permanent disabilities, the goal is to help them in their efforts to return to appropriate work and to stay positive and focused on their financial and social reintegration. Appropriate work may include the pre-injury work which the vocational rehabilitation consultant determines is within the worker's capabilities. So, principles and goals. The goal is to help them in their efforts to return to appropriate work and to stay positive and focused on their financial and social reintegration. Do you think the fact that you rip fucking injured workers off, on their wage loss, like royally shaft them? Okay, that is the number one reason and drive behind injured workers returning to work. And the fact of just merely dealing with this atrocious system is ridiculous, and it causes enough stress that is reason number 2. Well, I have to say that is reason number 1, why injured workers drive to get the fuck off of the workers' compensation system. But their goal, and it says right here, is to help injured workers to stay positive and focused. How can injured workers stay positive or focused when dealing with fucking bullshit like this? They can't. The lies and the crimes that are WorkSafe BC, how can anyone deal and stay within a positive manner? So let's go on to RSCM Volume 2, Policy Item 8.5, Principles and Goals. So this is more of principles. Now this is principles. Vocational rehabilitation states that in part that needed or practical vocational rehabilitation assistance is provided to help workers deal with the short and long-term effects of their accepted injury or condition on their employment capabilities. The vocational rehabilitation consultant determines what assistance is needed or practical. So again, in the end, they have the final say. Okay, so let's go on to RSCM Volume 2, Policy Item C11.85, again, Principles and Goals, and then Policy Item C11.86, Eligibility. Non-compensable problems state that In providing return to work assistance, the vocational rehabilitation consultant takes into consideration the worker's overall difficulties. However, assistance cannot be provided or continued when the main barrier to the worker's participation or return to work is not related to the injury or disease on the accepted claim. So they acknowledge that Lauren has CRPS, but it's not a compensable fucking barrier. So therefore, it has no bearing on whether or not he's entitled to go back to work. He can go back to work because, well, we don't accept it, therefore it's not his, and it's not that. It's so, go back to work, Mr. Forbes. Okay, so let's go on to that policy again. RSCM Volume 2 Policy Item C1186, Eligibility Criteria. Permanent Partial Disability Section 23.1 sets out 3 eligibility criteria for vocational rehabilitation services for permanently disabled workers as defined by the Act. So, it states that workers with permanent disabilities who can return to either the same or another type of work may need to do so, or may need help to do so. Vocational rehabilitation services may be provided to workers when WorkSafe BC determines that an accepted injury or condition affects their ability to return to the same type of work. Sometimes assistance may be provided when a worker's ability to return to work is impacted by a combination of accepted injuries or conditions and other difficulties. In addition, assistance may be available when workers are no longer able to return to their job because of their injury. So, as we all know, Lauren's unable to return to drywall due to his injuries. Okay, so let's go on to RSCM Volume 2 Policy Item C1187. Vocational Rehabilitation Process Consultative Process sets out that the vocational rehabilitation consultant coordinates timely return to work planning with all involved parties to help workers deal with the impacts of their accepted injury or condition on their employment capabilities. So the vocational rehabilitation states right here that the vocational rehabilitation consultant is to work in planning with all involved parties to help the worker deal with the impacts of their accepted injury. You have yet to talk to Dr. Bell or Dr. Scruton about Lauren's injuries, or yet to work with him on his injuries, or about his injuries, or to work with him in any way, shape, or form, or his physicians for that matter, because you don't accept anything that they have to say. So, this next little bit, I might end up getting cut off. Just look for part 2, please, of policies and practices, and you'll see that there. RSCM Volume 2 Policy Item C1188, Nature and Extent of Programs and Services Rehabilitation Plan states, in part, workers are entitled to 1. Rehabilitation plan. The board will monitor the plan to determine if the plan is progressing as anticipated. A plan may be modified or a new plan substituted where the worker's medical condition deteriorates or improves, where there's significant or unanticipated developments on the vocational rehabilitation process, or either the Vice President of Compensation and Rehabilitation Services or the Director of Vocational Rehabilitation Services approves the modification to the new plan. Excuse me a second. This means that eligible workers are entitled to 1 vocational rehabilitation plan. The vocational rehabilitation consultant follows workers through process throughout their plans to help them move forward as expected. The rehabilitation plan may be adjusted or replaced if certain policy requirements are met. Approval of a new plan or modifications to an existing plan depends on evidence that supports the policy requirements for a change to the original plan. So, RSCM Volume 2 Policy Item C1188, Nature and Extensive Programs and Services, Discontinuation of Vocational Rehabilitation Services, states in part that vocational rehabilitation assistance, including benefits, may be suspended or terminated if a worker does not accept an appropriate job. An appropriate job is one that the Vocational Rehabilitation Consultant Board determines is within the worker's capability and also maximizes long-term earning capacity into the pre-earning wage rate. So I'm at the 9 minute and 30 odd seconds, so I'm just going to cut this off. Please look for part 2 of this. Thank you very much. Policies and practices. Take care. Have a good day.